What's good, hip hop? What's good? Welcome to the season 5 premiere of the Diggie A2 podcast. I'm still your host, Robb Diggie, aka Robb D, BKA Robb D, the place to be. You already know what it is. Oh man, lots of things going on to be excited for heading up for this season. One of the things I want to get out there real quick, make sure you all go out to www.diggia2.com for the latest and greatest things that are going on surrounding the platform, surrounding the culture. And what we're going to do a little bit different this season is we want a lot of audience participation. That's what we're lacking on the platform. So with that in mind, whatever you're listening to us right now, whether you're watching on YouTube, if you want to click the link for the survey in the description, leave us a comment, leave us your thoughts on the show, or you can hit us up on the streaming platforms. Leave us a comment. If you leave a comment or something online, let us know. I'll pick out the best one out the stack, read it off next week's episode, and we will send you out some Diggie A2 swag for you to add to your collection. So we're gonna do a little bit of things a little different this way. So make sure you all leave a comment, leave the survey, whatever your thoughts are, what you think about the show, what you think about the season so far, and we'll get that out to you all. That we'll pick one out of the hat and we'll ask you for your address and we'll send it out to you. Starting off season 5, you know what, you guys? I can't believe they renewed us for another season. Like, it's been a roller coaster ride. We are in the 2010s, 2010 to 2019. And you know how we do on the Diggie A2 platform. You know, when we celebrate another season, it's always a victory lap. So, you know, around here on the Diggie A2 podcast, we got to start things off with a little henny, hen. Y'all know the rest. I won't even say no more about that. We're going to start out with a victory lap drink, but I want to introduce you all to my special guests. We got a couple of queens online with us today. We have Karynil from Long Island, New York, who is a huge fan of music, hip hop culture. She's on with us today. And we have Shara, who has a very long history, musical background from her family. She is calling in all the way from London, from the UK. And we're on board with us today to talk about the Migos. So without further ado, I'm going to bring these ladies in so you all can meet them. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, all that good stuff. We'll have Karynil. Good afternoon, ma'am. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience and tell us about your relationship with hip hop.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Karynil. I'm from Long Island, New York. I am such a big fan of music. Music literally takes over my whole life. I think it affects your mood. Everything about from waking up to the morning till when I go to sleep, everything is encompassed around music. So I love all genres, and I feel like listening to different types of music, and when things are coming out, to actually analyze it and get to really dissect where people are from and how the groups came together, and lyrics and production and all that stuff together makes a great group and great music. So I'm really happy that you guys have me here, and so we can discuss some stuff. So
well, thank you, Queen. We appreciate you being here and giving us your perspective on the Migos. And then we're going to hear from Shara. Shara's all the way from London. You guys. Calling in. Shara, what is it, about 8 o'clock at night right now? What time is it over there in London?
It's almost 20 past 8. So hi, good evening, everyone. Nice to meet you all, and thank you for having me. So I would say that, as you mentioned earlier, and also to add to what Karynil said as well, I have a love for music. I just find it very liberating, motivational, anything you want to do. It's really good to just have some music on in the background just to get that vibe going and just feel inspired, and it helps with the creativity, etc., you know, especially with the day job, I suppose. But yeah, as you mentioned or highlighted, you know, I just remember like growing up and my family just being around musical groups, and my mum doing some backing singing, you know, from back in the day. And I just remember, you know, she knew Bob Marley. So I just remember meeting him when I was very, very young, and just having that sort of inspiration. And just remember having certain UK groups at the time that would come to visit and things like that. And just having that sort of musical influence, I would say. So it would be mainly to do deep-seated really around reggae music at the time and so on. And I think that's quite pivotal today, you know, as we all know. They bear sort of the foundations for hip hop music and also lots of other genres of music as well. But as Karynil said, just to add to that, I'm just a great musical lover of all genres of music. Have a good appreciation.
Whoa, we appreciate you, Shara. We appreciate you, both queens. We got 2 queens starting off season 5. I am so excited. Thank you, ladies, for being on here. And the group that we're talking about in season 1 are from my hometown, North Atlanta, Georgia, Lawrenceville to be exact, which is Offset, Quavo, and Takeoff, otherwise known as the Migos. Let me give you all some facts real quick about the Migos before we jump into the discussion. They are a 3-time BET Award winner. The first time I heard the Migos was on the song called Versace. And they made the song, it was really, really catchy. They start, reciting Versace. I'm like, man, what are these dudes doing, man? Like, what's going on? So Drake, Aubrey Graham, further otherwise known, probably the greatest, not the greatest, one of the biggest hip hop stars on planet Earth, decided to do a remix of Versace. And that's what really took Versace to the stratosphere in 2013. That was one of the first times I actually heard of the Migos. So that's how their career got started. They had another song called Fight Night. Look at My Dab, and of course, one of my favorites is Hannah Montana. And we're not talking about the character themselves. You all can read between the lines of what Hannah Montana means. I'm not going to get into that. You all can check that out on your own. Their first album was released in July 2015 called Run Young Rich Nation. One of the songs I picked out was Dab Daddy, Highway 85, One Time, Pipe It Up was a couple of singles that I liked. Didn't do very well commercially, but it was an underground success. And it set them up for the Culture series. So the Culture series, Culture 1, 2, and 3, 3 very distinct albums, and really, really put Migos on the hip hop map. So Culture 1 was released in January of 2017, was 1-time platinum, was nominated for a Grammy, did not win, but we all know the hits from Culture. We're talking about T-Shirt, we're talking about Bad and Bougie featuring Lil Uzi Vert, Get Right With Ya, Slippery featuring Gucci Mane, Dez featuring 2 Chainz. And you know what, ladies, we all know the phrase that the Migos created. And when you're ready to hear drop top, you say, or raindrop, you say drop top. It's like kind of goes like hand in hand. Like they really coined that phrase. So whenever you hear raindrop, you automatically think about drop top because of the Migos and how they coined that on Bad and Bougie. But phenomenal album nonetheless. And then a year later, 2018 in January, they dropped Culture 2, which was a double disc, which I thought was a kind of long CD, but nonetheless, they had commercial success. The songs I picked up of there were Narcos, Autopilot, Walk It Like I Talk It featuring Drake, CC featuring Gucci Mane, Stir Fry, which was actually produced by Pharrell Williams, Gang Gang, which is what I would say an underground hit, kind of a B-side hit that I actually like. Well, let's do it this week. We all know about Motorsport featuring Cardi B and Nicki Minaj, Notice Me featuring Post Malone, and then Culture 3 was released in June of 2021. However, June of 2021 is outside of our scope for this particular season. However, Culture 3 is was another commercial success for the Migos, but their most successful album was Culture 2. I think their best album is Culture 1, in my personal opinion. So that's going to set the stage. Oh, I forgot. Their net worth is $80 million. So these brothers are doing a major on the streaming, doing all the different appearances, guest appearances, things like that. They really got their stuff together, the money right. And they are kicking off our season. And as I mentioned, they are from my hometown, Atlanta, Georgia. So shout out to Atlanta, Georgia, stand up, ATL in the building. And we're going to kick things off with Karynil first. So Karynil, good afternoon. And when you think about the Migos, Karynil, what's the first thing that comes to your mind with these gentlemen and how they approach hip hop?
Ad-libs.
Ad-libs. There you go. Yeah.
Like they're just so like they're all over the place, honestly. Like they throw things that honestly I have to research, I have to look up to see if there's some hidden meaning behind it. Like, does this mean something else? Like, yeah. But I think they're dope. They really like brought us. I mean, I'm from New York, so to listen to ATL music, like ATL rap and stuff, is foreign to me. I'm not used to it. So by listening to them and getting into their music and the way that they just do their whole production and their lyrics and how you have to like look it up and stuff, to me, that just made me have such an appreciation for the rest of ATL music that I was not a fan of before. And through them, it, introduced me to other people like Future and, you know, the rest of the greats from ATL. But yeah, they're just, they put things out there that make no sense, that you have to like look it up. But, you know, young kids, they love it. Like you mentioned Hannah Montana, like I hear Hannah Montana, I just imagine kids doing the, you know, and the dab that like, you know, I think it was Cam Newton or someone, like he started doing that like during football. So they just crossed over into so many different things. And I think that's why their stardom became so big.
I would agree. They've done lots of things that coincide with popular culture. They were really smart and strategic on some of the things they wanted to get out. Like you mentioned, the dab, which was very, very popular, and they wanted to, you know, incorporate that into the music. But Shara, I have a question for you. Now, when it comes to Migos, what do you think their impact is on hip hop today? So we're talking about Migos in the 20 teens and how they were able to create music and, you know, to be the coin the phrase, to be honest, those of us who are you know, hip hop heads are not major fans of Migos, but you have to respect the Migos. You have to respect them whether you like them or not. However, Shara, what do you think their impact was in the 20 teens on how it makes music sound today?
I think it's completely, they are completely influential, you know, in the game. I think that probably they may even set like the standard, you know, where everything else kind of feeds off, you know, heavily influential. And I think sometimes you can see that as well, that influence in other groups, you know, that have arisen since. So, yeah, I think that they're definitely one for keeping an eye out for. I think just to extend on to what Karynil said earlier, they're completely explosive. They're very addictive, very captivating, and they're extremely talented at what they do. You know, so they do sort of set a precedent. I think for what they do, they're very unique.
Yeah, yeah, they are very unique. They have really, what I would say, influenced hip hop in the 2020s or whatever this 10 years is, or whatever you want to call it. Hip hop today, yeah, like they were one of the ones that really stepped outside the box, really put Atlanta back on the map, on the hip hop map. Just like Karynil was mentioning about Atlanta. But Karynil, you're a hip hop head from New York, so my question to you, ma'am, is when you think about the Migos and equating it to hip hop, do you think Migos is hip hop? Yes or no? And if no, why not? Do you think Migos, are they hip hop or are they more popular music as opposed to hip hop? And you're from New York now. That's why I'm putting you on the spot.
Okay. They are hip hop.
Okay.
I'm just used to a different type of hip hop. Like the hip hop I'm used to kind of has like a story surrounds it, you know,
okay.
around it in a way. Like there's something, it's like visual, you know, okay. Where with them, it's like I said, there's a lot of ad libs. So there's like a lot of stuff that kind of just thrown in. So I feel like with, you know, like New York hip hop, you can learn the lyrics within like a few times of listening to it.
Yeah.
Because it's like a story where it's like, you know what they're saying. Where like with this, it's like, there's so much random things thrown out that if you're sitting in the car with someone, they're going to think you don't know the song, but you do know the song, but it's because it's like all over the place. But it is hip hop. It's just a different style. And we can't tell someone that they're not hip hop or they're not rap because their style is different. There's no set thing. Hip hop didn't start a certain way. You can't go back to, you know, like someone like Run DMC or, you know, other greats from the past, like from the 80s and stuff, or even before that when it was actually, you know, starting out, and say that's not hip hop, because it's an evolution. Yes. Music is an evolution. Yes. So just because someone doesn't sound like what you're used to, it doesn't mean it's not considered that genre.
And I would say to that, Karynil, that's a hard pill to swallow for us old school heads, right? Us old school heads are like, man, Migos ain't hip hop. What are they doing to our culture? What are they doing? But it's exactly to your point. They're just changing. That's why the season is called The Transformation. During these 10 years of hip hop, ladies and gentlemen, 2010 to 2019, you saw a little bit of difference in the ability, not the ability, but the importance of lyricism. The importance of lyricism was like a lost art. They're really going after the beats, catchy hooks, making things that were making people dance and move. Like you mentioned, Karynil, you know, going to the clubs in New York and listening to things like that. That's really what hip hop is really shifting into in these next 10 years. However, I want to ask Shara this question. So Shara, what is the impact on Migos over in the UK? I'm very interested to hear their impact on hip hop lovers and how they received in the UK across the pond from us.
Oh, it's major. It's really big. They have a heavy influence here. And I would say that alongside sort of another genre of music, such as drill music, I think it's very relatable to the music, to the style that they offer in terms of the trap and the hip hop part of it. Definitely. I mean, it's huge here. It was definitely a phenomenon. And I think with their commercial success, even more so, I kind of got into them when I heard T-shirt, and that just exploded over here. I think they, the video came out first, and then soon after there was a live performance, and and then everybody just wanted to sort of assume position and take on a likeness for them. So yeah, but like as you say, with the lyrics, it's definitely evolved over the years, and they obviously have their own cadence of how they deliver them, and it might not make much sense. And like you say, Karynil, you referenced the ad-libs, and I think if you were just to do the ad-libs, you would sound as crazy, as it is when you listen to it, but I suppose when you piece it all together, it does make a lot of sense, and probably without them, it probably wouldn't be as effective. So, yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned T-shirt. I just remember Takeoff in the background going, "Mama." Like, where does that come from?
Yeah.
What are they gonna do with the same color T-shirt? Like, I'm like, what are they? But it's either it's crazy or it's genius. It's one of the two. I think actually is genius, because there's no other rap group or no other artist that was kind of doing the ad-lib thing. Like, that's why I think it's genius, actually. Like I said, whatever side of the coin you're on, either you think it's crazy or it's genius. I think it's actually genius because they kind of carve their own lane in hip hop. And that's sometimes what you need to do. You don't want to sound like everybody else. You don't want to, make music that everybody just loves just because. You want to carve your own lane. So I'm going to ask Karynil this question to put her back on the spot. Karynil, when you think of a Migos song, right, which one do you find yourself going back to and playing on repeat? Which one do you like the most?
Okay. I like Pure Water.
Okay.
I like Adam's Family. Bad and Bougie, obviously. Talk It. Like, there's Slippery. There are songs that but they're different, Yeah. Some have lyrics in them, and some are just straight party anthems. And that's what I think of. Like, they're party anthems. They're great for any mood. You can play them not the explicit versions, obviously.
Well, yeah, of course. We got kids. It's kid-friendly show. I got you.
We have kids. There are places you could play it like at a carnival. You could play it in a store. It's very catchy. You can put it in a commercial for a jingle. Yeah. Like Walk It Like a Talk It. Remember when that came out? I would walk my dog, and that's all I would think about. His little legs, and I'd be like, walk it like Bad and Bougie, same thing. I have a cat who likes to go out in the street, and I say she's bad and bougie. Like, she's pretty, but she's bad. Like, it just goes back to relating to it. And I think that's a big thing when it comes to any artist. If you can have the fans or the listeners relate to your music and have it stick in your head and incorporate it into anything, like, you're winning.
Yeah, I definitely agree. They relate to the average day person. And Shara, same question. When you have when you think about the Migos and their music, which songs or album or what songs do you find yourself putting on repeat over there in the UK?
Well, T-shirt I can listen to all day. That's just how it was just my main introduction to them. Okay. I like all the commercial ones, to be honest with you, just the catchy ones. I like anything like that, to be honest. So if it's got a really good strong beat, which they have, and I think with them as well, I'm probably not overly concerned so much with the lyrics, because we just accept them for who they are. Right. I suppose if they were saying anything sort of outside of the norm that wasn't sensible, then maybe so, or harmful. But we just take them at face value, with the commercial success. And I do think that they can be taken quite seriously as well as a group as well, and they ought to. But so I like Bad and Bougie, and I love Walk It Like I Talk It, and I love Motorsport as well. So those would be the main ones for me.
Yeah, I like the Walk It Like It's Talk It video. With everybody seen the music video, they got an old, I think it's a throwback
it's so
to Soul
funny,
Train.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's a throwback to Soul Train. Drake's got on the big afro, and it's like it's so funny, man. Like
so funny.
They're very clever. All their visuals are very clever as well too. So I'll give them kudos for that. Very creative brothers, and I'm a little bit biased because they're from Atlanta, so I like them regardless. But I want to get some final thoughts here from you two ladies on Migos and their impact, or their legacy rather, that you think they're going to leave on the culture of hip hop. So Shara, what is your take on that? So when you think they're done with music, what do you think they're going to leave behind? What do you think their impact or imprint is going to be on hip hop when they're all said and done?
I think they're going to have a huge impact, I mean, everything that they do just more or less is gold, isn't it? Or platinum, let's say. And I think that they will have, like you say, the era, that they have in it. I think they can definitely claim some dominance over it. They're definitely trendsetters. Like you mentioned, the Walk It Like I Talk It videos, I think that's a major milestone for anyone to put on that kind of production, for especially in this time, and relate it to back then. I just think it's quite phenomenal, actually. And to have that sort of transition and crossover, how many generations, would appeal to that video. So I think they definitely own that. And I also think as well, like the t-shirt video as well was just really, really impressively done as well. The whole setting, if you can remember that. I mean, I can still remember that quite vividly now, as I speak to you. So they're definitely influential. And I think that upcoming younger generations that are coming up have a lot to sort of aspire to, if they want to sort of meet that kind of standard.
Absolutely. I think that with them saying more with less is good. So we put so much emphasis, and I'm a hip hop head myself. We put so much emphasis on lyricism, but you know what? It's okay. You don't need to be the best lyricist to make a catchy hook or catchy beat or anything like that. They make hip hop, to me, simplistic. We always try to complicate hip hop, and really you just got to have a catchy hook, nice beat, you know what I mean? And you got to hit, and not saying that that's what their formula is, but I'm think that from your point, Shara, is that their legacy is going to be left with that. They didn't really have a lot of, we'll be technical here. They don't have a lot of punchlines and wittiness, but they are very, very catchy. And you listen to Walk It Like I Talk It, Bad and Bougie, same color t-shirt, even the songs they had out, recently, that are out right now, they're really, really catchy. It's like you can't get away from it. You cannot get away from these brothers. All right. So that is definitely one legacy that I don't want to leave behind. But the last question I have is Karynil. And for Karynil, it's going to be a little bit harder, Karynil. So being that you're a hip hop head yourself, do you think that Migos will be mentioned in the top hip hop groups of all time once they are done doing music? What is your opinion about that?
How many years from now are we talking?
We'll say 20. We'll say 20 years from now. So we'll say 2042. 20 years from now. Do you think we're still going to be talking about Migos and their impact on hip hop? Absolutely.
Okay. Because I feel like they started this whole new, era of like these kids today, like, us as older people were like, what is this music? Like, they're into this, and this is what they're going to be playing. This is what, the kids coming up, they're learning how to do music and production and engineering and all this stuff. And they're learning it from listening to them. Like I have a 13-year-old son, and he has his little MIDI piano, and he has his own little setup in his room, and he makes music for his like video games that he makes. And it's like a lot of it's like, copying their music.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's not just going to be even with music with them. Like, it's obviously that's the source,
right?
But it's going to be used, like I said, with kids doing like animation, people doing commercials for jingles, like since it's so catchy, and it's not, I'm not saying it's simple and basic, because it's obviously not, but the fact that it's like not as intense as other types of music, that it's going to be influential in so many different things. And just like we see the Montel Jordans and Salt and Peppers and whatever, like in commercials now, we're definitely going to be listening to Migos and so many different things. Their music is going to be sampled. I feel like definitely like in 20, 40 years or even more down the line, they're definitely going to be spoken about because the kids coming up now, this is what they're into.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to be something very impactful.
I totally agree with you, Queens. I totally agree. I think when it's all said and done, maybe top 50. I'm being biased here, but, you know, because there's so many hip hop groups that have been influential to the culture, Migos is a part of that story, that legacy. Maybe not as much as some of the other greats, but their story and legacy lives on. That's why they're kicking off season 5. So, ladies, I appreciate you, Queens, and your opinions, starting off with our season. So I thank you both for spending time out of your busy schedules to come hang out with me and our audience. But we got to start winding things down, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to start closing things out. And to give the audience a little bit of context around season 5. Season 5 is going to be dedicated to the life and memory of Mr. Daunte Wright. Daunte Wright was a young man that was pulled over. I think he had a warrant out for his arrest. I don't know the full story. Neither does it matter. But he lost his life on April 11th of 2021 from Officer Potter. Officer Potter thought that she pulled a taser to disable Daunte, but she pulled out a gun and shot Daunte, and Daunte died on that day. And this season is dedicated to the life and memory of Daunte Wright, his son Daunte Jr. He was only 20 years old. You guys, I have a son that is 20 years old. So just to think about that in context, like that could have been my son in that situation, or one of your sons or one of your friends. So we're going to dedicate our entire season to life and memory of Daunte Wright and all the others that we have lost due to social injustice in the United States. So what we're going to do to keep his memory alive, as you all see, my shirt says, "Hands up, don't shoot." This is going to be the catchphrase for the entire next 16 weeks of hip hop. So with that in mind, ladies, if you could join me by putting your hands up in the air. I'm going to say hands up. You're going to say don't shoot. We're going to say that 3 times to make sure and remind everybody that social injustice needs to be continue the drumbeat. And we're going to continue to talk about these social injustices and atrocities that are happening in the United States of America. So one time, hands up.
Don't shoot.
Hands up.
Don't shoot.
Don't shoot.
Hands up.
Don't shoot.
Rest in peace, Daunte. We love you, man. Take care of yourself. And your family, and your life and memory lives on. We're going to continue to hit this drum beat for 16 weeks in a row. So with that in mind, ladies, oh man, it's been a great conversation with you both. Very intelligent minds, very articulate. But we got to start wrapping things up. And we're going to start with Miss Karynil, all the way from Long Island, New York. Karynil, who are your shout outs going to, Ma, this week?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you guys for having me on. Jessica, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and for coming on. Shara, is very nice to meet you.
Me too.
This was a great segment. I loved every minute of it. My shout outs are, for one, my son, Anthony. Love you, baby. My parents, my sister, the rest of my family, my friends, everyone else. One thing that I do have to say is I want to give everyone their flowers today, because we shouldn't wait until our death to tell people how much appreciated and how much loved they are. So totally. I'm sending my flowers to everyone watching and everyone else across the world.
We appreciate you, Karynil. Thank you. And thank you for being a newcomer to the platform. Hopefully we'll see you again further on down the road. So thank you for coming on, Ma, as a true queen, a true mind of hip hop. We appreciate you. And Miss Shara, who are your shout outs going to, ma'am, all the way from the UK and London? I've been trying to get to London for years. I just can't seem to get over there. So maybe you can help me out. Maybe you can throw a party. I don't know, but I really, really want to go to London. But who are your shout outs going to, Ma? The floor is yours.
I'd like to also just thank you all it was lovely meeting you. Thank you for having me. And I really enjoyed the show. And lovely to meet you as well, Karynil. Thank you for being such a gracious guest with me. I would just like to shout out my business partner, probably first and foremost, just to say thank you ever so much, Andrew Foster, for what you do and for the company. And also just to also thank And give a big shout out to my daughter Thea, and to my lovely, gorgeous grandson as well, King, and to my wonderful son-in-law, Andre. And just to thank a few other companies as well that I work with as well, just to say shout out to the 360 Nation family, the Humanity at Work Foundation, and Hotel Universe, and to spread love and light to everyone throughout the world. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Queens. We appreciate you. My shout outs are going to be short. First and foremost, we need some world peace. So shout out to all of our folks that are suffering out there in the Ukraine right now, and that whole situation going on. I usually don't talk about that too much on this platform, but our hearts are with you, those of you in the Ukraine suffering right now. So I want to get that out there first and foremost. Shout out to the ladies on the platform today, Shara and Karynil. Thank you both, ladies, for bringing your expertise, bringing your opinions. We love to see you come back. We love ladies on this platform. We need more voices. Ladies, if you're listening, if you're watching, bring your opinion, bring it over to us. I wish I could have 16 weeks of just ladies all week. That would be phenomenal. I don't know if I could pull that off, but that would be phenomenal. But shout out to you two queens for spending time out of your busy schedule. Hang out with us this week, starting off the season. Shout out to my family, my kids, my grandkids. I love you all to death. Shout out to Jessica, Miss Connect the Dots, for putting this all together. And my last shout out is going to 36 and Brimstone, who is a part of the DB Entertainment Group. And they have a song out there called My Brother's Keeper on the new album called Monolith. And on their album, they gave me a soundbite on their album. So shout out to you guys, man. I love you guys to death, man. Thank you, guys. Thank you. So, guys, brings us to next week. Next week, we're going to stay in Atlanta, Georgia. And we're going to be talking about one of my favorite rappers, 2 Chainz, next week. We're talking about 2 Chainz and his influence on the culture. But that's all we have this week, you guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay humble, stay safe, stay hip hop. All right, 100, man. Peace.